A lake that turns living animals into stone. A desert so toxic it's called Mars on Earth. A pit of fire that is burned without stopping for over 50 years. And a calm blue lake that silently suffocated nearly 2,000 people in a single night. These places are real, and every one of them can kill you. Some in hours, some in minutes. One almost instantly. 5 spots on our own planet where nature built a death trap, and stepping too close is the last mistake you'll ever make. Let's start with the lake that turns the living into stone. 1. Lake Natron, the lake that turns animals to stone. In northern Tanzania lies a lake that looks like it belongs on another planet or in a nightmare. From the air, Lake Natron glows in swirling shades of deep red and orange, like a vast pool of blood spilled across the African plain. It is beautiful, in the way a warning sign is beautiful, because this water is one of the most hostile substances on the surface of the earth. Lake Natron is extremely alkaline. Its waters can reach a pH of around 10 or higher, close to pure ammonia, and temperatures can climb toward 140 degrees Fahrenheit. The lake is fed by mineral-rich springs and volcanic ash from a nearby volcano, loading the water with sodium carbonate and salts, the same kind of chemicals the ancient Egyptians used to dry out and preserve their mummies. So when an animal dies in or near this lake, something eerie happens. The chemicals begin to calcify the body, coating it in hard mineral deposits, preserving it in a grim, stone-like state. Birds and bats that misjudge the lake's mirror-like surface and crash into the water can end up perfectly preserved, frozen forever, like statues, their wings still spread. Photographers have found these calcified creatures along the shoreline, looking like petrified ghosts, sculptures of their own final moment. And yet, this is the strange twist. The lake is not lifeless. It's actually the single most important breeding ground in the world for millions of lesser flamingos. The very causticity that kills other creatures keeps predators away, and the red bacteria that thrive in the harsh water feed the flamingos and even tint their feathers pink. So Lake Natron is 2 things at once: a deadly chemical trap that turns the dead to stone, and a strange sanctuary of life for the few species tough enough to survive it. Stand at the wrong edge, touch the wrong water, and it can burn your skin and eyes. It's a lake that gives life to a chosen few and quietly petrifies everything else. 2. The Danakil Depression, Mars on Earth. If you wanted to find the closest thing to an alien planet without leaving Earth, you would go to the Danakil Depression in Ethiopia. Scientists literally call it Mars on Earth, and the moment you see it, you understand why. This is one of the lowest, hottest, and most violently active places on the entire planet. A landscape that looks less like our world and more like the surface of something that should not support life at all. The Danakil sits in the Afar Triangle, a place where 3 of the Earth's tectonic plates are slowly tearing apart, ripping the ground open from below. The result is a hellscape of neon yellow and acid green sulfur fields, bubbling pools of toxic acid, crusts of salt, and hydrothermal vents hissing poisonous gas into the air. Temperatures here regularly soar past 120 degrees Fahrenheit, making it one of the hottest inhabited regions on Earth, with average year-round temperatures that few humans could endure. The air itself can be dangerous to breathe, thick with chlorine and sulfur. Nearby, a volcano named Erta Ale holds one of the only permanent lava lakes in the world, an open, churning pool of molten rock, glowing red in the dark, that has been bubbling for over a century. Everything about this place is trying to kill you: the heat, the acid, the gases, the molten rock. And yet, astonishingly, people live on its edge. The Afar people have survived here for generations, mining salt from the blistering flats in caravans of camels. doing some of the hardest, most dangerous labor on Earth under a sun that can cook a person alive. For scientists, the Danakil is priceless, because the microbes that somehow survive in its boiling, acidic, poisonous pools may be the closest thing we have to a preview of what life on other planets could look like. It is a window into both the birth of the Earth and the possibility of life beyond it, disguised as the most hostile patch of ground in the world. 3. The gates of hell, the fire that never goes out. In the middle of the Karakum Desert in Turkmenistan, far from any city, there is a hole in the ground that has been on fire, continuously, for more than 50 years. At night, it glows from miles away, a vast, roaring crater of flame in the absolute darkness of the desert, like a doorway into the underworld. The locals call it exactly what it looks like: the gates of hell. The story of how it was born is almost as strange as the sight of it. The official account goes back to 1971, when Soviet geologists were drilling for natural gas in the desert and hit a massive underground cavern. The ground collapsed, swallowing their equipment and opening up a huge crater that began leaking methane gas into the air. Worried that the poisonous gas would spread and endanger nearby villages, the engineers made a decision that must have seemed reasonable at the time. They would set the crater on fire and burn the gas off. They expected the flames to consume the gas in a few weeks and then go out. That was over 50 years ago. The fire is still burning. The pocket of gas was so enormous that the crater has blazed non-stop ever since, an accidental monument to a plan that went very, very wrong. Today, the gates of hell is a flaming pit roughly 230 feet wide, its edges crumbling, the heat from within so intense you can feel it pushing against your skin from the rim. It draws the occasional brave tourist who stands at the edge of a 50-year-old mistake and stares down into the fire. There have even been efforts to study it up close, to descend into the burning crater in a heat-resistant suit, to study the strange microbes that might live in such an environment. And the government has, at times, talked about finally putting the fire out, partly to stop the constant waste of gas. But for now, it remains, a hole punched into the earth by accident, breathing fire into the desert sky, decade after decade. Proof of how a single human mistake can burn, quite literally, for a lifetime. 4. Lake Nyos, the lake that exploded in silence. Some dangerous places announce themselves, with fire, with heat, with acid you can see. This next one is terrifying for the opposite reason. It looks completely peaceful. In the highlands of Cameroon sits Lake Nyos, a calm, deep blue crater lake, pretty enough for a postcard. There is nothing about its surface to suggest that one night it killed nearly 2,000 people and almost every animal for miles in a matter of minutes, without a flame, without a wave, without a sound. The killer was hiding at the bottom. Lake Nyos sits over a pocket of volcanic activity that slowly leaks carbon dioxide up into the deep water of the lake. Under the immense pressure at the bottom, that gas dissolves and stays trapped down there, building up over years like the gas dissolved in an unopened bottle of soda. The lake had become a vast, hidden reservoir of pressurized killer gas. And then, on a night in 1986, possibly triggered by a landslide or shift in the water, that pressure released all at once. The lake essentially burped. An enormous cloud of carbon dioxide erupted from the water, and, because carbon dioxide is heavier than air, it poured down the valleys like an invisible flood, hugging the ground, silently displacing all the breathable air in its path. People in the villages below simply collapsed where they stood. Entire families, whole herds of cattle, every bird and insect, suffocated in their sleep or mid-step, never knowing what was happening, by a gas they could not see or smell. By morning, the region had gone silent, the survivors waking to a world of the dead. It was one of the strangest natural disasters in recorded history. Today, scientists have installed pipes in Lake Nyos to slowly vent the gas from the bottom and release the pressure safely, trying to prevent it from ever happening again. But the lake is still there, still beautiful, still quietly collecting gas in its depths. A reminder that the most dangerous places aren't always the ones that look frightening. Sometimes death wears the face of a calm blue lake. 5. The Cave of Crystals, the beautiful place that cooks you alive. We end with the most beautiful death trap on Earth, a place so stunning it looks like the inside of a jewel, and so lethal that a human being can only survive in it for a few minutes without dying. Deep beneath a mountain in Nica, Mexico, nearly 1,000 feet underground, lies the Cave of Crystals, and it holds the largest natural crystals ever discovered on the planet. When miners drilling through the mountain accidentally broke into this hidden chamber, they found a scene that looks impossible. Gigantic, glistening beams of pure selenite crystal, some of them over 30 feet long and weighing dozens of tons, crisscrossing the cave like the fallen pillars of a giant's palace. These crystals took hundreds of thousands of years to grow to this size, nourished by mineral-rich water in perfect, undisturbed stillness. It is one of the most breathtaking natural sights ever found beneath the earth, a glittering cathedral of crystal that almost no human will ever see. And the reason almost no one will see it is simple. The cave is trying to kill anyone who enters. The same conditions that grew these perfect crystals make the cave a furnace. The air temperature inside hovers around 113 degrees Fahrenheit, with humidity near 100%. In that environment, the human body can't cool itself, sweat won't evaporate, and the moisture in the air begins to condense inside your lungs. Without protection, a person can lose consciousness in 15 or 20 minutes and die not long after, essentially cooked from the inside. The few scientists who have explored it had to wear specialized suits packed with ice and breathing systems, and even then could only last a short time before retreating. The Cave of Crystals is the perfect warning wrapped in the perfect beauty, a reminder that on this planet, the most gorgeous places and the most deadly ones are sometimes exactly the same place. So look at the 5 death traps we just walked to the edge of. A blood-red lake that turns the living into stone. A poisoned desert that mimics the surface of Mars. A crater of fire that is burned for half a century. A peaceful blue lake that suffocated thousands in silence, and a cave of impossible crystal beauty that cooks anyone who enters. 5 completely different ways for the Earth to kill: chemical, volcanic, thermal, invisible, and breathtaking. And together they break a comfortable illusion. The idea that our planet is a safe, tame place that belongs to us. It isn't. Beneath the cities and the farmland and the postcard views, the Earth is still a wild, violent chemical machine, building lakes of acid, pockets of killer gas, and furnaces of crystal, completely indifferent to whether we live or die near them. We are guests here, walking carefully across the thin, calm surface of something enormous and dangerous. Most of the time, it lets us forget that. These 5 places are where the Earth reminds us. So here's the thought to leave you with. Every one of these death traps is also, in its own way, one of the most extraordinary and beautiful places on the planet. A sanctuary for flamingos, a window into alien life, a cathedral of crystal. Beauty and danger on this Earth are so often the same thing wearing 2 faces. So tell me, which of these 5 would you risk seeing with your own eyes if you somehow could do it safely? And I always wonder how far these stories reach, so let me know what part of the world you're watching from. Some of the most beautiful places on Earth are the ones built to kill you. See you next time.